The question of which new forms of credential will succeed in the market is a complicated one. On one hand, there's a lot of appropriate experimentation from institutions and also non-institutional providers, and we just need to wait and see which ones get momentum, which ones resonate with employers, with students, with professionals, among higher education institutions. That's kind of a natural process with any innovation. On the other hand, there's so much experimentation and so many new terms and constructs that I think there is a need for some type of standards movement, you could call it, in the same way that hundreds of years ago, when we had PhDs beginning in the US from the German model, when we had bachelor's degrees become more popular, accreditation and associations of institutions coming together, a lot of that came out of the need to set standards so that a bachelor's degree one place was the same as a bachelor's degree at another place. The world of micro-credentials is really exciting. There's a lot happening there, but a lot of the headline-grabbing terms and constructs like nano degree, et cetera, are actually from non-institutional providers. They're not out of higher education institutions. You have had higher education institutions experiment with new types of certificate, things that they're calling diplomas, things that they might call micro degrees. And I think if institutions can come together and maybe set some standards, that would be very useful, because the issue, among others, is on the employer side. Never mind the consumer or the prospective student who wants to know what kind of job or outcome will this credential get me. On the employer side, it's very hard for them to sort through because there isn't a lot of consistency. They don't know what a given new credential in its micro form stands for. And one of the best examples is the traditional certificate. There is a lot of growth, particularly in post-baccalaureate certificates in this country and worldwide. They have momentum. But a certificate from one institution might be one course, it might be due to the completion of a MOOC, it might be non-credit, it might be for credit. And then even within that same institution or state or another institution across the country, a certificate might be 6 credits or 12 credits, and very different in terms of the substance and the depth that's covered. And so when a professional puts a certificate on their resume, generally that needs to signal something to the employer to be useful to them in making a hiring decision or in understanding what the student knows. That said, this is a world that's still working largely based on paper resumes and the name of one thing or another that's referenced on the resume. The future, and even what we have in some of the innovation in the present, is much more digital, and there's much more of a drilling down that we're going to be able to do to basically click on the credential and some kind of a system and see what sorts of competencies and skills and projects and outcomes are wrapped up in that.